Hello everyone, this is Battlemots. Welcome to some more Homeworlds game commentary. I am going to now try to do a full series where I comment on all of the games in the 2024 Great Homeworlds Tournament Finals round robin. This is only going to be 6 games, and I think I can commit to 6 games. Um, so one of the players, M Stain, had to drop out. And so just 3 players played a round robin where each of them played each of the other players 2 times. This isn't quite over yet. I'm hoping they'll finish the last games before these videos start coming out. Um, but I have made a little grid here, and in the videos I'm going to fill this in as we go, and we'll experience this together. So let's start with YaiHar versus Fiendmonger, and then of course there will be another game where Fiendmonger goes first. It'll be Fiendmonger versus YaiHar. Um, yeah, so this was played with 15 days for time control. Each player got 15 days to make all their moves, but no time increment whatsoever. Um, and so the game may have taken quite a while. Let's see how we do. Okay, YaiHar starting with a yellow-blue large Gemini. Fiendmonger does the same. And both players trading for red right out of the gate. YaiHar switches to yellow now. So does Fiend. YaiHar pushing forward. Another common approach is to build another little green and then trade that for blue usually. It's pretty common to take take little pieces of all the colors until there's just one of each, one small of each color left. But YaiHar switching things up a little bit, pushing the yellow forward. Fiend does the same, both into green systems, so there's only the one little green left. How interesting. Okay, so YaiHar now has to decide which direction to go. So if YaiHar does any building is still the normal thing to do around here. Um, but anything that YaiHar builds is going to open up the mediums for Fiendmonger. And depending on... well, and then YaiHar will get to build a medium, but then Fiendmonger gets to build the other medium. So YaiHar, whoever builds next, is likely to come out behind in material just slightly. YaiHar could leave that small green to put it back in the bank and make green safer to build. YaiHar could even pass. And I've heard some people suggest that in a situation like this, both players should pass. This should be a draw because you shouldn't let your opponent get any kind of advantage at all. But YaiHar accepting a small disadvantage. YaiHar will probably build that medium green. Fiendmonger will too. So, yeah, so here YaiHar came down by a small ship to a medium. Not a big disadvantage. And YaiHar also gets the next move after that. YaiHar can spread out the greens, and if Fiend doesn't block, then YaiHar can build a large green. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Okay, YaiHar spreads out the green. We'll build the G3 unless Fiend blocks. I've just casted some games with somewhat less strong players, and so I never know what to expect. But these guys are good. Fiend's not kidding around. It's probably worth mentioning that YaiHar is the top-rated player. Nobody has been so dominant in Homeworlds in my Homeworlds career as YaiHar has been for the last year or so. Fiendmonger's no slouch, but YaiHar doesn't lose much. So my money's on YaiHar here. Okay. Fiend trades for yellow. Blocking the the G3 build. Also starting to gain some yellow momentum, which is good. YaiHar, though. Yes, YaiHar's got 2 places to build green, so YaiHar doesn't mind building some more green here. Because, of course, if Fiend builds the G3, then YaiHar sacrifices a little yellow to move into a little green, overpopulating both of Fiend's motherships. Um, yeah, I think that's a perfectly fine move. YaiHar commits. Fiend, oh, okay. Invading caster with the G2. I don't think, well, so YaiHar could capture it, but then YaiHar would have no red whatsoever and would be vulnerable to an invasion. Fiend could move the mothership into YaiHar's home, but then Fiend would only have a red 1 left, which they wouldn't be able to safely sacrifice to capture anything. And if YaiHar traded for red, yeah, okay, yeah, I don't see that working out. I don't like this invasion, is what I'm working up to. It blocks YaiHar from building the G3. Here or at home, I suppose. But I think YaiHar can capture safely. Let's see if that's what YaiHar thinks. Oh, or yeah. Oh, even better, even better. Oh, this is why this is why YaiHar's at the top. Um, YaiHar sees these things. I'm slow to see this one too. That there's this thing deserves a name because when when this is out there, it's really strong. It's the switcheroo. You YaiHar had a G2 in a place where they wanted the G3, so they sacrificed the G2, build that G2 where the overpopulation is threatened, and build the G3 back at home where it's safe. Oh, that's oh no. YaiHar took it back, but I think they're just making sure they don't like anything better because oh, what could be better than that? Oh, YaiHar, you monster. Um, oh, they didn't commit still. They're still thinking it over. I just I just made a video complaining about this. I won't go over it again, but I think YaiHar should not. You should never leave an overpopulation on the board. I believe. I'm just glancing at the timestamps, see if 10 a.m. But this was the next day. Okay, I was wondering if I saw these close timestamps and wondered if they were playing real time, but they're not. YaiHar moved 10 a.m. one day. Fiendmonger moved 10 a.m. the next day. And then YaiHar did. They thought about this for a while. They thought about this for 8 minutes. Yeah, so this is one of the things when I was at my best playing Homeworlds, I would think about my moves for a very long time. And so if you're playing an asynchronous game and you're not thinking about your moves for at least 8 minutes like YaiHar just did, then people who do have that kind of time may roll over you. Um, and always trigger your catastrophes. I don't think this is a big mistake from YaiHar. I think it's only a mistake in a technical sense. I'm pretty sure Fiendmonger can't actually gain anything by delaying the triggering of this catastrophe. But still don't do it. Yeah, Fiend triggers it immediately and then builds the G1. But YaiHar's got a flagship now. So Fiend is going to struggle, I think. So Fiend trades for blue, first blue ship of the game. YaiHar building some more green. Yeah, so if they built yellow or red, they'd be opening up the mediums. This opens up the mediums too, but at least YaiHar is building in a system where they've got blue. It's a more advanced. So I mean, they'd have sort of the same scenario if they built at home, but this is a more advanced colony. So it's more ships there is a little stronger, more aggressive. But building that other one back at home. Hmm. So bold play by Fiend here. Ah. Yeah, so moving this little blue threatens to supernova Deneb, where YaiHar's got their flagship. Fiend, of course, I'm never sure what level of player to narrate to here. Fiend could sacrifice their G. So if YaiHar doesn't react, Fiend can sacrifice the G2 to build two more blues in Deneb, overpopulating the star. Everything gets destroyed, and YaiHar loses their large ship. If YaiHar sacrifices their only red ship to capture that little blue, Fiend yeah, okay. So before that, we had sort of a similar scenario where Fiend invaded with the green, and I thought that YaiHar should sacrifice the red to capture it. I don't think Fiend had a well. YaiHar, of course, find a better move, but it would have been safe. It seemed to me for YaiHar to sacrifice their only red to capture it. At this point, though, if well, it's complicated enough. I'm gonna see if I can find my whiteboard. Where's the whiteboard? Is the whiteboard? Yes. Okay. So if YaiHar sacrifices the little red to capture the little blue, I think this is not so good for Fiendmonger. Fiendmonger, or rather, I think this is not good for YaiHar. Fiendmonger sacrifices the Y2 to bring their mothership 1, 2 spaces into YaiHar's home. YaiHar then has two problems. One is YaiHar doesn't have any red at all and has a large invader in their home. The other problem is that YaiHar is very close to a green overpopulation and losing that way. But let's see. I think YaiHar's best defense then is trading this G3 for a red. Someday I'm going to make a sandbox. I'm working on a sandbox. I want something that, like when they do the big chess championship tournaments, they've got a chessboard they can illustrate proposed sequences on. I want one of those. If somebody wants to make one, um, then I'd love to play with it. Okay, but for now, I'm just writing over the pieces. Okay, so YaiHar trades that G3 for red. Fiendmonger sacrifices their little red to capture um, YaiHar's mothership. Fiendmonger now has no red whatsoever, and only has one ship left in their home world. I guess this is working out for YaiHar. YaiHar could defend their home by sacrificing the little red and moving the large red back, or they could even go on the offensive, moving that large red into Fiendmonger's home, threatening to win on their next turn. No, except that YaiHar has 3 greens in their home and no other ships. Fiendmonger would build the G3 for the G2 for the win. So YaiHar, so the counterattack is no good. The defense is good. So that works out for YaiHar. So my my back of the envelope analysis is YaiHar can safely sacrifice red to capture this invading little blue. YaiHar instead sacrificing the little yellow to evacuate the The G3, okay. In this position, it's even more obvious. Mm, well, here it seems to me that if Fiendmonger does something, well, if Fiendmonger were to pass, I think YaiHar would still be safe sacrificing their R1 to capture this little blue because we've got all the same things I just talked about, but also, um, well, no, we don't. The G3 is no longer at a blue star, though YaiHar has a little blue in that scenario that they could sacrifice to trade this for a red. Never mind. Let's see what they actually do. I'll I'll go down deeper rabbit holes on my own time, not yours. I apologize. Okay, building the little yellow. Yeah, this is sort of a standoff where neither player is confident that they would come out ahead if they sacrificed their only red ship to capture here in Deneb. I think YaiHar would have been okay as I described. Fiend, I've got doubts. Um, Fiend pushing the yellows. Yeah, YaiHar's got no yellow ships at all. So building more yellow seems like a pretty good idea. YaiHar does the shopping spree slash factory, cleans out the green bank, and wisely, I most of the time I'd say, oh, put your large ship that you build in the system with blue, so that you can trade it for other colors and keep trade that large ship for another color, build the large green back again, and get an even bigger material advantage. But in this case, Fiendmonger's threatening to blow up Deneb with the G2 sacrifice still, so it's not a good place for YaiHar's large ship. So YaiHar choosing correctly to put the medium there instead. Well, they could be put they're building a small in this sequence though. They could build the small in Deneb and the medium somewhere safer. Really? They're considering other things. Having the medium here means YaiHar is most definitely in control. Fiendmonger can't capture everything YaiHar's got, no matter how much red Fiend gets, because YaiHar's got the bigger ship. And Fiend says, oh, with that G2 sacrifice, I thought they might overpopulate Deneb for the supernova, but instead they're building more yellow. Yeah, so they've got 3 yellows in each of these systems, but YaiHar has no yellow anywhere, so they can't do much about it. And if they were to trade for that Y3 here at home, Fiend could move in 2 little yellows to knock out the star and the mothership. So yeah, that's pretty good. YaiHar gets another factory. YaiHar finally has 2 red ships, so they could safely sacrifice one of them if they committed to that, but they didn't. Instead, trading green for blue. Since Fiend has sacrificed their G2, they can no longer, if they were to overpopulate Deneb by building now, they'd have to sacrifice their mothership to do it, which isn't safe. Okay. Fiend now. Huh. Going on the offensive. Does this work out? So the expected thing is that YaiHar captures the little yellow. Fiend moves in another yellow. YaiHar moves out the yellow they just captured. The trouble with that being, Fiend can then sacrifice red to capture YaiHar's only red ship, which gets a little hairy. but the threat of knocking out YaiHar's yellow star disappears pretty quickly. Yeah, I think capturing is definitely the only option here. Oh, and Fiend, yeah, they've got a medium yellow at home. They can move in both of these yellows at once. Don't give YaiHar the opportunity to move out that little yellow before you just move in. Um, the reason I don't like that is Fiend had a big yellow advantage. There were Y3s left in the bank, ready for Fiend to just spread out their little yellows, their medium and small yellows, and start building those large ships. Fiend could have caught up in material, and uh, I think YaiHar would have found a way to get some yellow. I think they could have traded. They could have sacrificed the B1 to trade the G3 for Y3 maybe. But yeah, a second ago, Fiend had um, the makings of a yellow monopoly, which is extremely strong. And instead, they're knocking out YaiHar's star. This is this looks to me like, well, I think I casted a game where that felt a lot like that within the past couple of weeks, where somebody's got a huge advantage in one color, almost a monopoly, and they get rid of it to, sure, you knock out a home star or knock out some of your opponent's fleet with that catastrophe, but you're putting all those pieces back in the bank where your opponent can get at them. Um, it's not pleasant to be down to one home star, but as YaiHar, I think I'd be wiping my brow and saying, "Oh, thank goodness I can get some yellow now." I just have to be careful about the blues. Yeah, trading for red so YaiHar doesn't. Yeah, that was a green became red. Yeah, making it so so YaiHar can capture this little blue without sacrificing their only red. Fiend builds yellow. Yeah, so Fiend, I think Fiend might have in mind. Oh, I just, I just need to build my yellow monopoly back. No, you threw it away. Um, it's going to take you so long to get your yellow monopoly back that YaiHar's going to get a blue monopoly in the meantime. That's what I think. Um, when you when you knock out one star, I've this is in my strategy guide. I'm going to summarize a bit of my strategy guide now. If you're going to knock out a star, you should minimize the length of time between the knocking out of that one star and you're knocking out the other star, because when you knock out a star, you've lost a bunch of material. You've given your opponent time and more ships in the bank to get back into the game. You put yourself at a disadvantage. So unless you have a plan to win by knocking out the second star very quickly, you're giving your opponent a lot of time to get back into things. So Fiend should be trying to shorten the game drastically, not prolong it. And Fiend should be trying to get as much blue as they can and keep blue out of YaiHar's hands. They're letting YaiHar capture this little blue, and no question that's the right move. Um, okay, so Fiend trading back into blue. That's good. Um, YaiHar wants to make sure they can get some yellow. I would have considered doing that at home. There are no factories on the horizon. In a situation like this, the reason I would normally say don't trade your green at home is if I want to keep my factory. But as it is, the yellow's a little, well, I don't know. I guess what I'm really getting at is YaiHar. I don't want him trading away any blue at all. But in this case, he really had to. Yeah, okay. YaiHar didn't have any yellow yet, and Fiend could have moved into little blue to overpopulate Deneb. All right, all right. So I'm a little out of practice, and uh, and these are good players, so they're making excellent moves, and I'm not always seeing the reasons offhand. Okay, yeah, I think that's the correct move. Fiend wants more red. Um, Fiend, I think, needs to establish the safest colony they can so they can keep building blue. Safest they could get would be a medium defender. So, like, move the Y2 out to a G1. It would take YaiHar 2 turns to invade with their flagship. So that's safe-ish. But Fiend also wants more red. They want to be able to sacrifice some if it comes to it. And the large reds are getting close to available here. Fiend moves to a little colony. Trouble is, that's just a small, so YaiHar can invade with a medium. No, YaiHar's more concerned about the yellow. I'm really surprised people looking aren't looking for the blues more. But Fiend needs both players need a safe place to build blue. YaiHar could have one immediately. They just move their little blue into Electra. It's still connected to Fiend's home, still suppressing Fiend's blue building aspirations. But it would be safe for YaiHar to continue building. Try to get those blues out of the bank. Defend your remaining blue. And Fiend, wisely, I think, bringing a medium into Formal Hut so that YaiHar can't just move in a medium and threaten to capture. YaiHar, taking my advice. He heard me from the past. From the future. I'm in the future. YaiHar's in the past. So they heard me from the future, moving the blue into Electra. Okay, and Fiend, yeah, making a nice healthy colony now. YaiHar, I think here, well, we've got a couple of options. One is start being a bully with your flagship. Try to move it to Formal Hut. It'll take 2 moves, but that's, I think, is the biggest advantage of having a flagship is that you can bully your opponent's smaller ships into their colonies. YaiHar, though, does have they could do a shopping spree in yellow, but I don't think I like how that would look too well. Oh, now that's interesting. Believe me, okay, yeah. Okay, so I always think of another blind spot of mine is when to move your mothership out. Um, it's a good time for it. I think, yeah. So YaiHar is very disruptive moving their mothership in here. They can always reinforce their home by moving the flagship back. And it saves the time. So I was saying, oh, move the flagship to Deneb so that you can move it into Formal Hunt the next turn. Yeah, this puts the pressure on Fiend immediately before Fiend gets to build anything in this colony they've been trying to defend. Yeah, so that's great from Fiend from YaiHar. Okay, Fiend evacuating the most valuable ship, the medium. But YaiHar sacrifice. I'd sacrifice the medium red from Deneb probably. No, I think I'd actually do the one at home because if Fiend, and this is something we should have talked about at least a little bit, I guess. If Fiend had sacrificed the Y2 to invade YaiHar's home, YaiHar can invade Fiend's home with a large and has more red power to take over the stuff in Fiend's home more quickly. YaiHar would finish winning first. So yeah, it was a great time for an invasion. So YaiHar sacrificing the red in the colony. Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter like I thought. My brain was going down a dumb rabbit hole that I don't think I even need to discuss. Fiend can't counterattack is the point here. But if Fiend, okay, Fiend built some more red, now Fiend could potentially try to counterattack, sacrificing the Y2 to bring the mothership over to YaiHar's home, which can't be immediately captured. However, it could be overpopulated with a factory build, and also YaiHar might win. I think YaiHar would actually win the counterattack game as well. But Fiend isn't going to get that chance to counterattack anyway. Yeah, YaiHar gets to gets the shopping spree in the greens, leaving no green for Fiend to build. Fiend is still down by a large ship and tons of other material now. So I think it's really pretty over, and I'm going to start moving a little faster. Okay. Sacrifice of the G3 for a factory, building oodles of yellow. Maybe. Just trading for a red. YaiHar's got lots of interesting options here. Let's get to their actual choice. Sorry, I'm going too fast for the graphics sometimes here. Okay. They settled on sacrifice G3, rebuilt it so it's a factory to build the Y2 and the Y3. Yeah, that's a good move. So the thing here is, it puts a Y3 in the bank that Fiend could build, but that's a trap because YaiHar can sacrifice Y2 to move in 2 larges if Fiend... Fiend can't even overpopulate those 2 invaders because there's no green left in the bank. Fiend can capture one of them, but then YaiHar sacrifices the R2 to capture back, and YaiHar wins. So Fiend should not make the mistake of building this Y3, but they did. So YaiHar, yeah, does the right thing, moves the 2 greens in. Fiend resigning by building a bunch of red. YaiHar builds into the overpopulation and wins. Okay, well, yeah, YaiHar almost flawless as far as I can tell. Leaving that overpopulation on the board is my least favorite part of their game. Fiend knocking out YaiHar's star. Definitely a mistake. Lost the yellow monopoly and let YaiHar get back into it. I mean, YaiHar was never out of it, but I think Fiend would have had a much better chance if they'd held on to their yellow ships. Okay, so over here on the grid, this was... I got to double check the first player. YaiHar was first player. So in YaiHar versus Fiendmonger, the victor was YaiHar. Score of 1. High score after all the games are played will be crowned the champion. And so I'm going to cast all 6 of the games that go in these slots. Of course, the players don't play themselves. That's why it's blacked out. Yeah, looking forward to seeing all this great play. Thanks for watching.